Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison, and a lot of people want to know if she's going to turn in powerful people. And I know you've talked in the past about Prince Andrew, and you've criticized Bill Clinton's behavior. I'm wondering, do you feel that she's going to turn in powerful men? How do you see that working out?
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well, whatever it is. I don't know the situation with Prince Andrew. Just don't know. Not aware of it.
Mr. President.
If there was one head-scratching answer that he gave, and it's a reminder why news conferences, you never know what's going to be asked, was the decision he made to repeatedly give well wishes to a woman who is under arrest for involvement in a sex traffic ring involving underage women. And because he knew her from Palm Beach, he kept wishing her well.
Yep.
I'm guessing that is not what political consultants on either side of the aisle would have advised the president to do.
God, Chuck Todd. The delivery is just, it's something. But yeah, I would guess that was not a smart thing to say unless he was talking to Maxwell in this mob boss style, threatening her implicitly. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think Trump pulls that off very well. Usually when he's trying to intimidate people, it's pretty obvious. But that was unbelievable. And another unbelievable development, too, was because last week I covered how Geraldo Rivera, the Fox News host, was weirdly defending Maxwell on TV, which seems odd because she was the madam who sexually abused many young girls. Hundreds, even though that wasn't brought initially in the suit and stuff, or in the case, because there weren't enough that they could prove, but there were dozens that the government could prove. He decided to defend her last week. I covered that here on Rebel HQ. And then today he decided to defend Trump for defending or saying that thing about Maxwell about wishing her well on Twitter, tweeting that the media mob was eager to see her lynched, calling Trump brave for weighing in. Methinks Geraldo is bringing this topic up way too much. There's no evidence that he knew them, but I would not be shocked at this point. Everyone in New York seemed to know them. I mean, I've been watching Real Housewives of New York in quarantine. Please don't make fun of me, but I love it now. And I just keep thinking, God, I bet a bunch of them hung out with Jeffrey Epstein and Maxwell. Anyway, it's well documented that Donald Trump himself had a long history and friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, and by association, Ghislaine Maxwell. The remarks renewed attention on Mr. Trump's ties to Mr. Epstein, who was arrested almost exactly a year before Miss Maxwell, Mr. Epstein's longtime companion. Mr. Epstein was charged in a federal indictment with sexually exploiting and abusing dozens of girls and women at his mansion in Manhattan and elsewhere, including at his Palm Beach estate. In 2002, Mr. Trump told New York Magazine that Mr. Epstein was a terrific guy whom he had known for 15 years. He's a lot of fun to be with, Mr. Trump said at the time. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. So Trump knew, guys. Mr. Epstein was never a dues-paying Mar-A-Lago member, but Mr. Trump treated him like a close friend, and the two men were photographed together at the club in the 1990s and early 2000s. They also attended many of the same dinner parties in Manhattan. George Heraney, a Florida businessman, described one episode in the two men's years-long relationship to the New York Times last year. It was 1992, and Mr. Heraney had flown 24 or so women in for what was supposed to be a calendar girl competition at Mar-A-Lago. The only guests, it turned out, were Mr. Trump and Mr. Epstein. Guys, maybe Trump really does want to wish Maxwell well. They're friends. It's bizarre that he would say that publicly, but also so Trump. When has he demonstrated that he's cared about women, especially people he doesn't know? Outside of his daughter, he doesn't care. His one daughter, Ivanka. It's gross. I mean, the idea that you wouldn't even discredit her or try to distance yourself from her. She is basically a sociopath who groomed dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of these girls for abuse. It's gross, but it's also darkly comical because Trump is such an idiot.